Hey, Randy.
Hey, Randy. Yep, go right ahead.
It's just pretty sad they're gonna get stuck with all those.
Well, yeah, you're gonna get locked out. I tried to get out that door earlier and I realized it's locked from the inside.
Yeah.
So if there's an emergency, don't try to escape.
That's what I was saying to Bill Burns. I was like,
Took a
it
bunch of
doesn't
trades for this
strike me as
poor little Baraboo troop,
compliant
Daisy
with
troop. that
code.
Had
Yeah,
like
sure,
25 extra
but it doesn't
cases.
seem like
Oh my.
both
I had no
exits
idea
should
what they were
be on
getting
the
into.
same.
They just read the little
side of the
inside.
room.
Yeah.
The exit should be bolt, not from here at least. You can't.
It's
Yeah.
way more than they
You can
did.
exit through the
See,
conference room,
this
but you
is
also
recommended
can't go to the back hallway. 'Cause that's
Because then
also
you'll get
key
locked.
to entry.
Yeah,
What is $5?
yeah, and it's also recommended based on like a good booth, like little Baraboo troop, which you like a good oil or something, like they're not gonna sell. She said they're- Okay. She said it's like, when the weather warms up, everything will get better. Give it a week or two off. Sell the rest of them. Of course, Riley needs to
Here or no?
switch.
Yes, he will be here.
I just want people to commit. Can't drag my kid out for a 4-hour shift anymore. She won't do it.
Maybe Culver's had
She
another
and Annabelle won't
fundraiser
have to
tonight and he's running late.
You're
speculating? I like that. That's funny.
He said, he mentioned something about that at a recent.
Yeah,
Wait, yeah,
He had to go to Culver's.
like really old married.
I went a whole week without having a burger out west and I seriously thought about stopping at a Culver's in Denver on the way to the airport. I thought, no, I can wait till I get.
Why did you move the boxes like this? I don't know. Why'd you move the
I was
boxes?
proud of myself for going a week without.
You know, you're speaking with a vegan.
I
right?
know, I was gonna say, it's been 20 some years. since I had-
Or we were speculating you were Culver's.
Huh?
Were you a Culver's?
Was I
Did you
Culver's?
come from Culver's?
No, I did not.
Should you have?
Should I have? Is, am I
It is
missing something?
something.
Is there
Well,
something?
you weren't here, so the speculation was you
I
might.
tuned into the CDBG.
It's just a joke.
Or the hearing that they had on the CDBG grant.
I'm trying to minimize
Did
my
anybody
Culver's.
come?
Me, but I didn't say, I had nothing to say. I just wanted to hear the presentation.
I attended one of those one time in person and it was like really awkward.
Tends
Everyone
to-
in the room looked at me to see if
If
I
only
was there to
science
speak,
told us
no
that
one
like
else was.
eating less and exercising more was a
Say
way to,
something, yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
I haven't-
focus
I
on
haven't
our
yet
hearings,
fully-
though.
Nowadays, it's
Incorporated
all-
that.
Everything's upside down.
Too quiet.
All just taking a moment.
Huh?
We're all taking a
It's-
moment.
Pre-plan commission Zen.
One thing I noticed about their plan is the dates are 2025 through 2029. That was a comment I refrained from making on the Conservancy Lands 5-year plan.
Oh, that you wanted it to go
It,
through.
well, it should actually be 5 years,
5 years.
but it's got
Six,
6.
seven.
I was gonna say.
That's 5
And then
years.
30.
Yeah, the
they go to
chair's
30
really
is
low.
Conservancy Lands.
Oh,
doesn't go
okay,
up
so it's a
anymore.
6-year plan. for
Yeah, but I
conservancy.
think it's because it's starting midway.
So I can hide
Zero
behind
here.
Yeah,
the
or
monitor.
they want to get an extra year out of life of it. Yes, I think they're obligated to
Yeah,
update those every 5 years.
yeah, nobody wants a 6-year plan.
No.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. And we will convene this meeting of the Middleton Plan Commission for April 8th, sorry. Abby, can you do the roll, please?
Adams,
Here.
Bruce,
Here.
Harp,
Here.
Paulson,
Here.
Summers.
Here.
And Chair Hanairo is present. Sonntag is absent and excused.
All right, great. First item is the approval of the minutes of our March 25th, 2025 Plan Commission meeting. Does anybody have comments or corrections to make? Seeing none, the minutes of the March 25th, 2025 Plan Commission meeting are accepted as drafted. Moving on to agenda items, we have two. The first one is the certified survey map for Castle Rock at 6404 through 6418 University Avenue and 2009 Lakeview Ave. Staff, do you want to give background or do
Sure.
you? Okay.
So this is before you tonight. At the next meeting, we anticipate having the site plan review that goes with the Castle Rock project. What you're seeing here is all the lots that make up the project combined into one, lot one. What's new is that what you see on the bottom here, lot 14, that Daphne's circling, that is being added to the project. And you'll see that with the site plan in 2 weeks. The property owner, the developer at the time did not, when the first phase or the original building was approved, did not have a controlling interest in lot 14, but now it does. And so they are in the process of revising their plans and submitted the CSM to combine all the parcels into one, which was something we had requested and that was a condition of approval back in February of last year. The reason this is before you tonight and not the plans or the site plan review is because we were operating under a timeline. We did get an extension today from from Jeff Brankus, who's not here, but Wade is here in case there are questions, the engineering consultant. But we wanted to show that we were making progress and resolving comments from our city staff. So what we are showing as in the minutes, or I'm sorry, as the staff recommendation is there were 4 items in the staff recommendation. And if I could share the screen quickly, please. We actually have another one that we would like to add, that we are recommending be added, and the developer is aware of this. And that is in red, shown in red on the screen. So we have an addition of a note on the CSM indicating the portion of the lot formerly zoned as Himes is zoned MUA, which is Mixed Use Avenue. And then the remaining lots are zoned MRH. I talked to our city attorney about this. They were, Matt Fleming said that was acceptable. The other option would be to rezone the entire parcel to to rezone them so it's all the same zoning designation, but it's not necessary. Resolution of all other staff comments. That's a very common catch-all that we have prior to review by the Public Works Committee. The reason this is going to the Public Works Committee is because there's going to be an easement for a public utility easement across the eastern end of lot 14. I'll get back to that in a moment if you have questions and want to know more. Council will need to approve the CSM because of the easement dedication, accepting the dedication of the easement, and then the city developer agreement. And then the 5th is the payment of park improvement and parkland fees in lieu of dedication fees. And that's something that we just are giving notice to the developer that this will be an expectation. So that's in addition to the staff recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Mark, can you remind us, the approval in February was for rezoning with a condition that they be consolidated into one lot? Is that what?
Yes, that was
the
one
approval.
of the approvals. That was with the CSM.
But we've not seen a site plan.
We saw a site plan in March of last year, I think, was the SIP. And since then, it's been rezoned into the standard zoning district. And now we're adding this, and this parcel wants to be, they want to add this parcel to the east. And that's a different zoning district. But they're planning to have a building that straddles the 2 lots connected by underground parking.
So they're planning one building or 2 buildings?
One building, it's
Okay.
technically one building. It will look like 2.
Okay,
But it's one
That was-
building. It's a parking structure below ground that was previously approved, and they're planning to extend that to the east and put another building on top of that.
so they had GIP approval.
And SIP
And
approval.
SIP approval.
Right. And one of the conditions was that they would accept MRH zoning.
The high resident, the high,
Right.
yep, okay,
Yep.
okay,
And,
yeah. So the site plan we'll see is basically a similar footprint of that building,
but extended to the east,
extended to the east.
across this
More,
new
more
lot.
units then?
More units with, and the other units will appear as a separate tower, although not nearly as big because the
Okay.
lot's not as big, but it'll be a separate tower. That will look like it's separated
Okay.
above ground, but connected by the garage.
I was just trying to remember what the site plan looked like from last time, because I don't think I was on the commission, but we'll see it next
Yeah,
next time.
next time.
And Mark, the proposed project would work in either zoning district?
Yes, technically the well, yes, with the asterisk. So the corner building, the building on Lakeview Avenue, yeah, Lakeview Avenue, is, because it's a corner, if that were zoned MUA, they would have a mixed use component be required as part of the building. And that's why, because it was approved, the GIP was approved without the mixed use component. That's why we instead converted to MRH, because we didn't have a mixed use component there in that
Right.
building.
Right. And, but you don't see an issue with us having two zoning districts for this one building?
That was the first question I asked when this came in.
Yeah, but
And
one of them, it doesn't technically meet the requirement of one of the zoning districts. The MUA.
but the portion of the building that is on the MRH does, and then the portion that does not need to have a mixed use component because it's not on a corner. So I would say it does, that it meets it with an asterisk.
Well,
So in an ideal world, every parcel would have one and only one zoning district,
Right.
right? So when you create a lot, normally, under a CSM process, it is zoned, right? And that doesn't require,
Doesn't require
is it,
rezoning.
doesn't require rezoning, even though it's a very minor map amendment. Would it be possible to just, I mean, legally and not trying to skirt the rules, but to just change the zoning of that eastern parcel
Not
to
without-
reflect the parent parcel?
Not without going through the rezoning process, the map amendment process. And the rule with the subdivision is you have to create a lot that complies with the zoning regulations. And even if you kept this as two lots, the problem is they're planning to straddle the lot line. So you're
Yeah.
having two lots, then you wouldn't meet the setback requirements.
and
Could-
just, may I just ask a question, just to be clear, so the MRH designation, because when I first saw this map, I'm looking at the zoning map, I thought, why would we not have made this MUA? But the reason we didn't is because they already had a PUD for this
That didn't have the MUA.
that didn't
The-
have the commercial component, so we didn't want to make it MUA.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I agree. It seems like it would be neater, more tidy to have just the one zoning district on the one lot, but
Yeah.
it's not the
That's
first.
what a PUD does.
Yeah.
But we don't.
Is
Does-
it, why not do the rezone, can we do the rezoning
As a contingency.
as a contingency or condition or?
I don't,
Well,
I-
that triggers a whole
the-
class 2 notice.
Well,
and
it's not that we're-
Public hearing and.
I don't think the city can legally compel. And I asked this question of our city attorney
Yeah.
a couple months ago, so I'm trying to remember how the phrasing was exactly that I asked. But I mean, this wasn't his preference to have it be two separate zoning designations. Ideally, it would be one. But my takeaway from that is that there isn't a way to compel the rezoning process.
And that might delay the project.
Yeah. we don't- okay.
Can you just remind us, the MUA requires mixed use or allows mixed use to be waived mid-block, right?
So it does not require mixed use if the lot is away from a corner.
Okay. So technically this logic puzzle, right? The portion of the lot that's gonna stay MUA is not on a corner, so it would comply.
Right.
Mhm. Any other questions? Actually, we still need a motion. I had a question about the proposed motion. We could bring that back.
Yep, it's coming.
So that someone can make the motion. So I had asked Mark earlier the question of why do we have a contingency that council approved? Like, the plan commission approves the CSM contingent on council approving the CSM. Seemed kind of like a loop.
Sure.
But Mark explained it's because of the need for a public utility easement that's going to
Yep.
be, okay. So I wonder if that, we can add that to item 4, just to make it clear that is why we're adding that part about approving the CSM reflecting the public utility easement or something. There you go.
Right, because
Okay.
if the public utility easement is not accepted, we really don't want that lot being created as such.
So
right?
currently that storm sewer runs between lot 14, the eastern part of that's being added, and the rest of the development that's approved. So there's a storm sewer easement storm sewer that runs through there. That has to be relocated for this project. In order to be relocated, we have to shift the public utility easement to the eastern 18 feet it's gonna be of that lot 14, if you will.
So basically, it's making clear that if we can't move the storm water pipe,
Right,
you can't get the project done anyway.
right.
Because the city's not gonna let you just move their pipe without an easement, right?
Right.
So
I'll make the motion, then I will move approval of the CSM contingent upon, do you want me to read them all?
You do not have to. You can-
The 5 conditions listed here as amended.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the certified survey map for Castle Rock. I had one question. I'll see if other commissioners have questions. On page 12 of our packet, can someone explain the fence situation to me? Page 12.
You talking about the ones up here?
Yes, so it goes from, okay, starting to the west. Maybe you're zoomed in too far. Let me.
Those fences are located on the adjoining single family residence. Best as I understand it.
So we are in no way looking at a fence that is proposed. These are existing fences
Right.
that the neighbors in the area have.
Right.
Okay, that's good. Do we, and I know this will come up in the site plan review, are we aware of trees that are going to need to come down in Himes Woods? I ask because of the reaction to.
The adjoining property.
Yes.
Wade, are you able to answer that, or if you don't mind?
Yes, that would
Madam
be
Chair?
great. Thanks, Wade.
I know some existing trees are on the site, so they would be removed, but I don't know how else to answer the question.
We are aware of the trees that you're wondering about. It was one of the site plan comments. So we've hired somebody to go out there. The team has hired somebody to go out there, take a look at those trees and look at the viability of whether they can survive the project or not. So that'll be forthcoming with the site plan.
Okay,
It's in process.
thank you, Wade. And I would just ask everyone to be very sensitive to the desires and wishes of the people in the area and at least let them know if trees are going to come down so they won't be caught by surprise like they were by a different development nearby. Thank you. Any, Abby? Go ahead.
Just a question, clarification on the fence. There was previously a fence being proposed to screen the surface parking lot areas. That was something that had been requested by the neighbors, and I think it was incorporated as a condition. Is the fence that's shown on the CSM the fence for screening, or is that the fence on the neighbors and the screening fence will be on the site plan that's coming at the next meeting?
So I'll just jump in and answer that one, Abby. The fence that shows on the certified survey map, those are existing fences and they relate to the determination of the boundary. So by statute, we have to show those to solve a boundary. The only reference on the CSM is to existing fence. New proposed fence will be part of the site plan that'll be forthcoming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, any further questions? Hearing none, then all those in favor of approving the certified survey map for Castle Rock, 6404, 6418 University Avenue, and 2009 Lakeview Avenue, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to our second item, it's the final plat for Pheasant Crossing Phase 1 west of High Road. Staff?
Yes, this is request for approval of a final plat for the first phase of development in Pheasant Crossing. Phase 1 is actually 47 single-family lots. Phase 2 is 36 single-family lots for a total of 83 lots in the first two phases. We had deferred this item from the last meeting because we were still finalizing the review comments on the preliminary plat that has now been completed. And we are ready to take this item forward to the Public Works Committee next week on Monday, the 14th, along with the civil plans and the city developer agreement. So our recommendation is for approval of the final plat contingent on resolution of staff comments, approval of the city developer agreement by common council, approval of the civil plans by Public Works Committee. And Matt Brink is here from Veridian along with Wade Weiss from Weiser Engineering for any questions you have.
Thank you, Abby.
We have
Questions from
approved, we
Commissioner?
approved the preliminary plan a couple months ago, right?
Yes, yep,
And so this is consistent with that?
yes, it is.
And I know there was some discussion, oh, I forget when, I'm getting old, but can you just explain those outlots? Which of these are gonna be privately owned and which will be dedicated to the public for park purposes?
Outlot 6, I believe, is private. Is public
out-
for the.
outlot
Wait, do you know
six.
that? Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
Wade,
there we
if you
go.
could walk us through this. I know Outlot 6 is the one that's proposed for the dedication as a park.
That's correct. It's just outlot 6 is the park dedication.
Okay, that's it.
Yep. The outlets on the east side of High Road are just private outlots that are future development. The outlots that are on the west side are private ownership and act as the buffer from Graver Pond and the setbacks.
I'm trying to remember what. Again, because I'm getting old, we had a concern on the site plan about management of that vegetation as it slopes down towards Graber Pond, right? Can you remind me, Mark, what we?
You mean the terms? of
Yeah,
that?
the question is, if it's a private outlot, how management of vegetation for? Right, there was this concern that homeowners are gonna mow right up to the,
Oh, I see what you're saying. I
how did
don't-
we address
It
that?
had to do with the buffer, the distance of the buffer.
I can look it up
Buffer-
unless Abby
buffer
knows
that
off the top
we
of her
Do you
head.
remember why?
I-
Wayne?
Well, Alder Haniro just mentioned the buffer. There was a 100-foot buffer that was recommended off of Graver Pond, and it set our west lot lines and an easement there, vegetated buffer easement there.
Okay,
So if that's what you're referring to, that was something we worked through and maintained a
Okay.
100-foot buffer.
so there's a vegetated easement, a
Right.
buffer.
There is.
Perfect.
And I think there
Got
was also a discussion of, it talked about natural landscape materials. Some descriptive landscape plan was going to be included. Has that been accomplished now?
So that's in process. I would say the
That's-
Heartland Ecological has been hired to help us with the stormwater management plantings, buffers, all of these vegetative planning. So I don't have that plan with me tonight, but that is all in process, part of the final design.
Okay, that's one of the contingencies, I assume. Okay.
Yep.
Other
When
questions?
might
or
you start
comments?
construction? So like this summer, right? Oh, yeah.
Again, Matt Brink with Veridian. We are planning to close on or around 6/1 or 6/2, and then ideally we should be set up to have our EC permit in place and start grading soon thereafter. We have to demo the house, still work through that process as well, but early June is the intent.
That is good.
Mhm.
So the only outlet to be dedicated to the city is 6, and that one shrank a little bit, did it not? Looks like it's about 8% smaller. That was one of the notes I saw in the document.
Yeah,
Scroll over a
it's
little.
now, I think, Parks, Rec and Forestry had recommended a quarter of an acre, around a quarter of an acre. It came here and, Plan Commission agreed with that recommendation from the Parks Board and then said with staff to make the final determination. And, so what is shown on the final plat is 0.17 acres, which means that the developer would be required to pay a little bit more in fees in lieu of. And we have those fees in lieu of calculations as of today. They have been reviewed by our city attorney. And I'm trying to remember. The developer will be required to pay parkland fees in lieu of, in the amount of, let's see here, was it, I think it's around 380,000 total.
That's around their high 300s, yeah.
What's that?
High 300s, correct.
Yeah, somewhere between 380 and 400,000 total for fees in lieu, and then they're also going to be required to pay the fee for improvements for parkland.
So there are fewer outlets now than the preliminary plat, correct? There were, well, now we have 10 or 12, sorry.
Yes, there were quite a few outlots with the preliminary plat. A lot of that had to do with the specific outlot use
Mhm.
and management of that, and also in coordination with the offer to purchase. At the request of city staff, the number of outlots has been reduced to avoid confusion. So it's even further refined as we come to the end here.
Okay. And then on the east side, it's basically 2. Right now, it's just 2 outlets, 11 and 12.
Yeah, that's correct. And the
Future.
intent there is
9
is-
and 8.
Yeah, 8, 9, I believe is what the current numbers are. But on the east side, there are 2 outlots. One represents future developable acreage,
Yeah,
and the
I'm
other
talking
is
the east side
the
of
wetland.
the road there. Yeah, 11 is,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm talking the next phase. And that leads me to another question. Abby, can you restate the phase information you gave us? Because I thought we were considering the final plat for phase 1, but then you said there's phase 1 and 2, but that adds up to 83 when that's phase 1.
Yes, we were just emailing about these totals earlier today too.
You were excused.
So,
I should be.
Did you not get the memo?
It's a long story.
You want your spot?
Abby, do you want me to take a shot at that answer?
yeah, I was gonna try to share it on my screen, but I'm digging for it in my email. I just thought a visual might be nice, but if you can,
Totally.
please go ahead.
Yeah. So the final plat is for everything west of High Road.
Okay.
The phase 1 improvements are 47 lots of the 84 lots on the west side of High Road. So we're final platting everything to make it make sense right now, but only a portion of that is phase 1.
Okay, thank you.
Have we seen a preliminary plat for stuff on the east side of High Road? We did see that, right?
Yes,
And that's been approved,
correct,
but not a final plat yet.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, what's on the screen right now is the full preliminary. plat.
Yes.
I just want to relay some comments from Friends of Pheasant Branch. Concerns just about the outlots that I think they're still zoned conservancy, but now they're being called green space rather than conservancy in the notes. So what does that mean practically when it comes to, native planting, wetland restoration? Will any of that be done, or are these just because they're going to be privately owned? Are they just going to be like mowed the way they are now, but just tended to, not restored?
Yeah, I think the direct answer is, so the outlot that's the southeast outlot, east of Hyde Road, the main wetland complex, that is to remain under private ownership as it exists today. That's the way the material is presented.
Okay.
And it exists today as a wetland that is how would you describe it ecologically? It's not restored to native conditions, right? It's like a mowed agricultural wetland, if that's even a term.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's hard for me to answer that. It truly is a protected wetland today. It's been delineated. It's in the database now. So I don't, there may be some passive uses that someone could do in that area. But again, they'd have to be passive for it to be permitted.
And then related to Friends of Pheasant Branch, on the west side of the development, we've got Graber Pond. One of the things that the city's talked about, I know the Friends have taken an interest in, is moving the boardwalk or creating a path, a new trail outside of the flood risk zone. Is that would entail one of these outlots at least? Is that something that the developer and the owner might be amenable to?
It's something that we would be happy to facilitate a conversation with, if that is maintained by the current landowner.
Okay.
I don't think it's something that Viridian could necessarily say 100% yes or no to now, but we could certainly help facilitate any conversations that were requested. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ready?
I'll make a motion. To recommend approval of the final plat contingent upon resolution of staff comments, approval of the city developer agreement by common council, and approval of the civil plans by the Public Works Committee.
There a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that. Sorry for being late, by the way.
You got 4 minutes into the meeting before we need to adjourn.
This is what happens to old guys that are 73 that fall asleep before the meeting.
Oh,
This is the first time I've ever missed. First, anyway. I will move adjournment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh. I thought you downloaded.
Michelle was trying to get at.
Really?
Yeah.
No, next night.
Hey, get some laundry done.
No.
That portion of it.
So this is the-
And then everything, but I told
Parts
you
and
that
the
you-
wetland.
Planner.